Having technical difficulties.
Not
Do you hear that? It's
the
bad.
first. Your cough is bad. Yeah.
I think I
it's
probably
just
have COVID.
well,
Am I crooked now? What'd you do?
if you don't get tested, I didn't touch your
I'm
screen.
not gonna get tested ever again. That happened to me one time. Never. Again.
When I was in law school, I had to get tested every time I wanted to go back inside of a building.
What? In the nose?
Yeah, yeah.
God, I'm gonna die.
It was insane. So I had to leave twice every day. So
That's
so
terrible.
every day I was having to do that. It was terrible. So hey everybody, welcome. Zach Martin here.
Thanks for letting me know. We're already live.
We're live.
Dang.
Yeah,
I had no idea. So much for the music, man. I was not
candid
paying
moments. That's okay.
Candid,
So
always.
the full cough and everything was on there. So hey everybody, Zach. You know, team player. Not for me. So hey everybody, Zach Martin here. Kids Deserve Dads, part of the Noncustodial Live hosts with my co-host Alicia Bullock. Welcome.
You just
Not the best.
sabotaged me. I'm mad. That's it.
We're putting that in the blooper field. Today.
Button. We'll make a button.
Yeah, put a cough up on that. So today we got a great show for everybody today. We have Jeff Millar, the 50-50 guy, a lawyer out of Missouri, works for 50-50 Shared Parenting, instrumental in getting the law passed in Missouri this last year. He was in the Hill today working on getting some new bills worked on. I'm looking forward to hearing what those are. He's been tirelessly working on making shared parenting a standard for a long time. He's got a good story.
Everywhere,
he's a great
all
dad.
the time.
Dude, the guy's incredible. So, and he's also on Fallout 76. So if you want to battle it out with Jeff, we're gonna put the codes up today. I don't have a code yet, but I'm about to be on there. So, anyways, without further ado, let's bring Jeff on and let's talk about something besides Fallout 76. So,
Good idea. Good idea. Get on here, Jeff.
you know,
What are you doing?
it's
You gonna add him?
Hey, how about that? Too kind. Your checks are all in the mail.
You're welcome.
you're gonna have like
That
45
was
likes for
fabulous.
like all your new friends on Fallout 76.
Excellent plug.
So,
I just downloaded it. Prime is offering a free download of Fallout 76, and I'd never played, but the show looked great, so I thought I'd give it a try. Because Call of Duty is real boring. Once you ace the game, it's it's not a challenge anymore.
right, yeah, you go harder and harder modes. But have you finished the whole entire show? The all 8 episodes?
I did. Yeah, of Fallout. Yes, yeah. And all the companion breakdowns on YouTube, all the lore you need to know. I started last night. Every vault, and I got like 5 minutes. Like I can't.
You gotta do them all.
Right.
I mean, I watched, I think, the first episode. I haven't watched any other ones in that, but the first one I thought was really fantastic. So,
Oh yeah, it just gets better.
yeah.
I didn't know anything about it, and I'd never played the game, and I didn't need to. Although I enjoy sci-fi. If you don't enjoy sci-fi, you probably like it. But otherwise, yeah, it was great. Just kept getting better and better.
Yeah,
It reminds me of that joke. How about going to watch an 8-hour movie? Fallout. No. Well, will you binge 8 1-hour episodes? Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
right.
All right.
Time for bathroom breaks and all that fun stuff. So,
Right,
all right, what's up, Alicia? You want to get started? Let's go.
Let's get down to business, guys.
Um,
Jeff,
go
go
for it.
ahead, Zach. No, go ahead. Right now. I was just
You
gonna
go.
cut right in and ask about something Jeff said he had for us.
Well, I could bet you that only because we started with Missouri, but I've actually done work in other states as well. We've worked a couple years ago with the folks in Arkansas, in Ohio, New York. What's north of me? Wisconsin. But and because of all that, and when I was supposed to originally be on a few weeks ago, I was going to do an homage, an ode, or my impression of someone in the community. I think you'll probably get. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Here we go. I need to take my headphones off. So one sec.
Uh-oh. Oh, wait. It's Kevin.
Kevin,
Is it
yes.
I don't have a Dad's Cantu hat. Any guesses?
Yeah,
I
Kevin
thought you were
Spear,
gonna do
baby.
Ryan.
I think he was
I thought
on
you were
right
doing Ryan for a second. Right before you.
after we were,
Kevin Spear.
right before you. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the week before me, and so I was all set. And I got back from the
Where'd you get
Capitol
that
day.
shirt from?
I got it from Arkansas Advocates for
Shared parenting.
Shared Parenting,
Arkansas
yeah,
Advocates
when it came out a
for
couple
Shared
years ago.
Parenting.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, when I saw him on, I was like, oh, I've got one of those shirts. I'm gonna need to wear that, and I just didn't have the right hat. So yeah. So in addition to Missouri, we've also worked with those other states in terms of some of the key components of basically the Missouri model. And I only say that because I've worked in Missouri now for 7 years, and then folks I work with have done it for 10 years. So we're a decade in starting this model to make sure we have universal application of key core concepts, like what standard of proof or to rebut. Presumption is just a fancy word for a starting place. So, okay,
Right.
if we're going to start at 50-50, when is it not appropriate to have 50-50? And by what level do you have to show that? So, for example, I like to use a metaphor of someone standing in water. So if they're standing in water and the water's up to their ankles, that's about probable cause. That's what you need to be arrested, not much. If you're sued in a civil lawsuit, they have to show what's called the preponderance of evidence. And that's just a fancy word for about 51%. So about your waist, that amount of water.
Right.
Now, a higher standard than that, not quite the criminal standard, I'll explain that, but what they're able to do, which is so fantastic in Arkansas, is use what's called the clear and convincing standard. It's higher than 51%. It's about maybe up to your chest. So you're about 66%. It's a pretty high burden for civil litigation. The only higher is when you're a criminal defendant, and we've heard, on TV, they say, beyond a reasonable doubt. That's like the water's here. I can breathe through my nose, but that's the high level they've got.
No question.
So, yeah. So what's terrific about the Arkansas statute is it actually has that clear and convincing standard in it. So we advocate for other states that are working towards this to start with that clear and convincing standard and do their best to stick to that. And that way,
that's a hard standard. I know. That's one that Tom Pischke worked on here, and it really was something that, almost immediately forced to get rid of that clear and convincing and move to preponderance of the evidence, like shot down before you even have a chance to get out of Judiciary Committee without that.
Right. And that's actually, and gosh, if he's watching, hi, Tom, gosh, it's been been a minute since I've chatted with Tom, but right. But still do it, because I call them throwaways. I like to be able to give something away that they're already getting, and maybe they don't know it, or give something away I know I'm not going to get in the final product. Okay, I can use that to negotiate or leverage something else. If I come in just at 51%, I got nothing. So that's part of the strategy and what we try and do and help folks with in terms of building their statute.
I know you were instrumental with the stuff going on in Missouri, but you have a new legal group that you started this last winter, right? You and Jeremy started a group?
Yes. So Jeremy Roberts and I did. And in fact, I should back up because I wanted to just double check and shout out to everyone. So we're on Facebook Live,
we are streaming lots of
places. A lot of places.
So
do you want to know?
Yeah, it was a TFRM. Shout out to them. Who else was it?
Tough.
The
unmarried father.
Tough. Ryan down in Tennessee. Tough. And I wanted to bring up AFESP, my old stomping grounds. Shout out to AFESP, to Mark, Mark's doing some great work down in South Carolina, I think, right now. And of course,
there.
Title 4D stuff in Washington. So we kind of got to where actually it was really strange in Missouri. You work on something for those guys 9 years, me 6. And just because I came in late, and all of a sudden it gets done, you're like, what do I do now? It's just this big sort of not drop off a cliff, but this sort of empty space. So
Right.
So Mark had wanted to still kind of do the same thing, just in other states, and we just thought we're better at just kind of staying local, and had some other things we want to do with Missouri law. So it was just a function of, well, let's sort of branch out then. And we established the lead lobbyists, lead standing for learn, educate, advocate, and duplicate all of our work in all of our areas, in all of our efforts. So
That's
it's
pretty fancy. I like that.
Yeah, it's a simple
that.
501c4.
Work that out. Nice.
And just allows us that umbrella under which to do the same thing as our sort of sister group, AFESP and whatnot. So especially with work and sort of my practice, it's hard for me to kind of get out of state. So the capital is only about 90 minutes away from me. So in fact, I was there today, so I can get there and back and still not have to worry about flights and things like that. So we launched that in the new year, I think. And we're just plugging away.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
you're at the
doing
Capitol
that
today.
With Jeremy Roberts, and it's the Lead Lobbyists. We are info@theleadlobbyist.com. If anyone wants to get in touch with us about working in their state. We've had talked to some folks, I think so far in Oklahoma. And we have about another month left in our session. So we'll finish that up in Missouri and then start up again with other states. Trying to get the home state done first.
Right.
Well, Wyoming and South Dakota.
That's what I was just going to say.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I remember Tom telling us that the reason it was tricky is, well, we kind of have this in Missouri, but not to the extent in South Dakota, is you have, it might be a 4 or 5 hour drive for folks to get to the Capitol. So it's hard to kind of draw in some of those folks, and just not being out there. I thought, well, yeah, that makes sense. There's this vast, big skies.
Capitol's
Right.
in a town of 10,000 people.
Numbers are important. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The Capitol's 10,000 people in the capital of South Dakota, and it's 2.5 hours from where I live. And I want to say Tom's further away than I am from the Capitol. He might be 3 hours away.
Oh, wow.
And he's in the biggest. He's in the biggest city. So from like the two biggest cities, which is probably 75% of the population in South Dakota. Right. It's 2 hours away to the Capitol. So it's like in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Wow.
Wyoming's at least close, and it's in the biggest city in Wyoming, is where the capital is. So,
but still getting numbers.
Yeah.
It's just
it's a numbers game, right? Like,
are hard.
You know how it was when you were there. And so Alicia came down when we wrote the bill for shared parenting in Wyoming, and man, we had an amazing turnout for the committee, and we did incredible. Alicia was unbelievable, and her speech about her situation and stuff, and her story.
I just cried a lot. Thank you.
She cried a lot. Hey, you know what? Hey, if I was the one crying all the whole entire time, then I'm like, that's weird. But you know what? You crying, totally okay. So
it was the perfect. This is what not to do.
That's okay too, though. I mean, to do, not to do. It's actually funny you mentioned that, because just last week, guys, I'm so sorry. Here I am. I'm Googling, and I'm not going to come up with it. In my defense, I'm Canadian. South Dakota State Capital, Sioux City.
Pierre.
Oh, I would know.
And well, it says Pierre, and anybody not from South Dakota would call it Pierre, but we're from South Dakota, so we call it Pierre. So
you're not from South Dakota.
It's Pierre. Pronounced it's Pierre, pronounced Pierre. Yes, I'm not from South Dakota, but it's my home, and I love it. This is a great place. I love this place.
Horrible. I didn't know that. I'm so sorry. Well, what I was getting at, so just last week, we've done this for so long. I'm always conscious of, don't just bring a problem, bring a solution to that problem. And I was all set, kind of kidding with our sponsor, and I'd said, we've got a problem, but not to worry, we've got a solution. And I'm just a chart guy. Picture's worth 1,000 words, but it was the lawyer version. But I was so proud of it. Everything's there. It wasn't necessarily the politician version, but it was the lawyer. Anyway, so I pulled out this chart with like lines and boxes of graphs. And I turned the expression on his face and the body language, and I immediately knew, oh man, I screwed up. Cardinal, I knew not to make it too complicated. And I'm bad. I once prepped a client, personal injury client, 4 hours for a 3-hour deposition. Awful. Awful. I've since changed my ways, but I just really like this chart. And so good to simplify things. Always have a solution for a problem, but to simplify. So, sometimes and look, we're only human, and these cases are emotional. I cry. I mean, gosh, you start telling a story, or all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, I'm in the state capitol doing something. I find that pretty moving. Not everyone does that.
Yeah. It bubbles up.
Yeah.
Especially
absolutely.
if you're still in it.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's difficult.
Well, I would imagine, and now maybe it's even more difficult with the advent of social media, in that. So I sort of went through this process in 05 to 07, and Facebook didn't. Oh, I'm dating myself again. Facebook didn't come around until 09. So for those first couple of years, actually, it was until I met the great folks at AFESP. The first 5 or so 6 years, I thought I was the only one. I thought that, wow, this just must be me. And it's strange because I didn't think that. And I'm a lawyer too. So like, if anyone believes in the justice system, I do, especially the American justice system. And I couldn't sort of believe what was going through. Then I met all the folks at AFESP and heard everyone else's story. And that was just blown away. I was like, wow, I wish I had this 5 years ago. But now in the present, there's even more. There's, TikTok and Twitter or X, more in addition to just Facebook. So there's a lot that might just be constantly in your face if you're trying to get away from it. I don't know.
I mean, if you're clicking on it, you're not getting away from it. You're just going to get more.
There you go.
So don't click on it if you want to get away from it. Scroll, keep scrolling.
You know what, though? That brings up a good point, though. So a lot of what I try and do, and sorry, I'm kind of all over the place because we were talking about the legislature, but and none of this, by the way, I should back up. None of this should be considered legal advice because I'm an attorney. I think I'm required to say, although I'm not soliciting, but the choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Although this isn't an advertisement, but nevertheless, the other part I like to do is when
I air horn that before you did
it. No, it's okay. I like to try and sort of like teach my clients, sort of going through it, just some strategies or tips. And we all know holidays can be hard, and that's one of my number one tips: stay off social media on the holidays, or if your kiddos with the other side for this holiday, that holiday, stay off social media. And I learned the hard way. I forgot because I came across a Canadian holiday. It was Canadian Thanksgiving, and I'm scrolling, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, I totally forgot. So sorry, I shouldn't jump around so much.
Is this in my parenting plan for Canadian Thanksgiving also?
God, went through that too. I had to put all the Canadian holidays, and we're not in Canada, so no. Usually you can agree on some of that stuff, but no, U.S. holidays. Although we are seeing more though of I'll just call it specialty or different types of religious holidays. So I've done one where they didn't, a couple where they didn't celebrate Christmas, but perhaps they celebrate some of the Hindu religions or whatnot. So it's important to make sure you can do it by agreement. So you customize what those holidays are. One big one I like to put in is first day of school. A lot of folks they don't think of that as a holiday. And I'm like, yeah, but it's a real special time for young ones. So you should alternate those as well.
That's such a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody write that down.
It really should be. It gives that chance to have that special moment. And South Dakota is going really good in the fact that we get to have an overnight during the week. So it's not like 2 hours on Wednesday nights, but it's an overnight. And so Sunday night, you get the kids overnight, so you get to take them to school on Mondays, and then you get on your weekends, and then you get to have every single Wednesday overnight in South Dakota.
Now, I'd have to look at my notes because it's been a while since I've looked at South Dakota, but wow, just still one night and every other weekend.
1 night. Yep, 1 night and every other weekend.
You know, in Missouri, that's called the Siegenthaler plan, named after a case called Siegenthaler v. Siegenthaler. And it is 1 night and every other weekend. And it was issued or released or handed down in 1977.
We just got it done 2 years ago. So
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
and one more, if you got one more day a week, that would be shared parenting, right? That'd be a 5, 2, 2,
Yeah.
5,
I mean,
which is
Pretty,
yeah.
yeah, pretty
Ideally, we
much.
like to try and use the nomenclature equal shared parenting, because shared
right.
parenting technically could be every other weekend. Equal shared parenting sort of brings in, you can do week on, week off. You can do 2 2 5. For younger kids, it's better if they can see each parent more often. So I think
Mhm.
a 2 2 3 is actually better. And what that is Monday, Tuesday with one parent, Wednesday, Thursday with the other, alternating weekend blocks of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So the kiddo is only going, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. It's hard for,
2, 2.
yeah, I'm sorry, you reverse it. So Monday, Tuesday with the parent one week, and then Wednesday, Thursday with that same parent the week after. So kiddos are only going those 3 days on Friday, Saturday, Sunday without seeing the other parent.
Right.
I would do that for 0 to 5 year olds. It's real hectic on the parent schedule, but we're here for the kids. And then maybe at 5, you switch it to just the regular, always Monday, Tuesday with one, always Wednesday, Thursday with the other.
Right.
And that's more like a week on, week off type thing. But yeah, because the key thing is meaningful time. And I will die on this hill that a McDinner on Wednesday for 2 hours, it's all, I hate saying this, but it's almost harder to do 2 hours than just to not see the kiddo at all. And harder on the parent. And I know it's not about the parents, it's about the kiddos, but
It's probably hard on them too, because it's especially the back
It's also
and forth.
it's also important
in
for the
one
parents,
day.
right? Like, it's important for the parents also. Like, to be a healthy, great parent, to be hurt like that every single week for those couple hours, and like knowing you're gonna get that 2 hours, and like all you have time for is to eat dinner, and then you're done.
pretty
I
much,
mean,
yeah.
just gut wrenching, right? Like, sucks the life out of you.
Yeah,
And so,
and you're under the microscope too. So what if you don't make those 2 hours? Oh my gosh, he's missed his 2 hours. Well, yeah, like you said, it's 2 hours. It's by the time I pick kiddo up, I got to turn around and drop him off again.
right.
But you're under the fear of, I'm going to get taken back to court and he's not using his time. Well, tell you what, give me a Monday, Tuesday. And by the way, not Monday, Tuesday after work till the next morning. I mean, you can do that, but I'm a parent. I'm a full-time parent. I still am a full-time parent. And I don't want to pick up after work. It's my responsibility as a parent, when the child is in my custody, to get that kiddo to school, from school, to their activities, from their activities. I can't use the other parent as a crutch. I'm just the same as the other parent. And, so if you have to get a sitter after school until you get home from work, that's what you do. And that's what you should be allowed to do. You should be enabled to do by a court. If one parent can do it, and I try and stay gender neutral, but if mom can do it, then why can't dad?
Exactly.
In 2024, 46 years after, at least in Missouri, the Siegenthaler case of 1977. It's crazy.
Right. And they made that, it's crazy how those kind of cases, like that kind of case, happened right after the Social Security Act of 1975, when they passed the law for Title 4D to bring in that money. And then they got this law, they got this case right away to split that time up and make it so they had that income stream coming in through child support.
Yeah, and I actually, Mark is really good at the Title 4D stuff. I always flub the statistics. I know it's not a dollar for dollar matching from federal to state funds, but the point is, here's an example. In Missouri, anyways, we have a Title 4D prosecutor, and a Title 4D prosecutor will prosecute a paying parent who is behind on their child support. The cost to the receiving parent, nothing. They get a free lawyer. Because the state, if they can collect those back paid monies, the federal government gives them incentives to do that. State then says, another key core component to that is you don't have to pay child support for the time the child's with you, because they're with you. So most legislatures will give you credit for that time. So it then becomes, all right, well, if your child support is based on your overnights, the less overnights you have, the more money you have to pay, the more the state collects in federal incentives. How is that constitutional?
Mm-hmm.
It's not, right? It's not.
In
fact, I just wrote something today. It might have been on the child in Missouri. We're one of the rare states, about 18%. where you have to pay child support if the child is an adult above the age of 19, 20 and 21 if they're in college.
Right.
And but you so the parent receiving the child support, the adult support, can enforce that through contempt and through various state mechanisms. But the paying parent can no longer enforce parenting time because the child is an adult. Well, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's kind of backwards.
If the child is an adult for purposes of parenting time, the child is also an adult for purposes of child support, but enter the state under Title 4D, and that just is just a.
They're like, just how to get more money coming in. Yeah.
And so my point, Alicia, was that I wrote something. How is this fair? ? It's not. Answered my own question. It's not. Point across. It's not.
Hey,
Most
Alexander.
of it is like that too. Like you can't even like.
It makes no sense. And when you really think about it, you're like, it just. What are we trying to accomplish by this? Are we only looking out for the state's bottom line, or are we caring about these humans,
it's money?
these adults?
Oh, okay.
It's only money. Like,
Let's just put it out there at first.
And here's what I've never understood, though. I mean, if you have that policy, and you have a truly nefarious parent looking to save money, they, I think, would be incentivized to do everything they can for their 18-year-old to not go to college. Where's the public policy in that? Now, assuming parents are fit, willing, able, they're going to want to help their children, of course, after 18. But if I want to get out of paying my child support, I sure as heck. Now, I'm not going to do that. I'd like to support my child and all those things. But when you make it a state mandated, enforced thing, think of all the other things children when they turn 18 can do. They can get married. Right. They can.
Well, even before that, they could. I mean, really.
Right. Well, right. There you go. Jeez. They can enlist for the military. Thank you. I was going to say Army, military, and all these things. Yet. So they're adults for all that, but they're still children for adult support.
For college.
For college.
Right. Yeah. When you're going to college and you're getting student loans and everything's being paid for by yourself or in the future, well, you're still on the hook to pay for that. And it makes no sense.
And here's the other problem too, is two problems. So mine was in 2005. My kiddo was 2 years old. Why on earth was I entering into a college plan for a 2-year-old that 16 years later, I have no clue where we'll be or what we'll be doing? Number one. Number two, if I'll say, I'm sorry if this is condescending or the wrong phrase, if you're in an intact family or a together family or a married family, and you can't afford for your kiddo to go to college, your kiddo doesn't go to college, or he gets a job, or she gets grants or whatnot. It's weaponized in our system, because that parent now only has to pay a half or a third if the kiddo's paying a third. And that tuition of 10 grand just got suddenly reduced to 5, and they can weaponize it. And I better make sure my kid doesn't go to college. It seems to be this, or I don't know, crazy idea, change the law.
Right. Well, I mean, I was on the phone with Tony Patel this morning, who's got a show. He's probably done now, but had a show going on today on the Father's Rights Movement, and with Mark actually, and we were talking about this right here, about how our kids are weaponized, and we're using these kids to solicit money, and we're not focused on like how do we make our kids be the best they can be. That our governments and stuff have made these laws to basically commodify our children and get money from the federal government. And it's like, how can we suck more money from the federal government and use these kids? And there's no concern about the welfare of the kids. Like at that age, that money should be going to the kids, or hey, let's buy a rental property together. I got $700 more a month right now. I can go out there and buy a rental property you can live in, and we can have an investment, and that I can help you learn how to like invest money and be a property owner and be a property manager. Like there's opportunities to do so many more things that are beneficial for our kids, and we're wasting it.
Well, just save it.
And that's because especially younger children. I mean, if you're 16 or younger, 13 or younger, children spell love Time. They don't spell love They don't spell love Dime. They spell it time, not dime.
Man.
So, I'm very optimistic though. What I've seen in my practice or my clients or cases or whatnot, about mid-30s and over still and older still have a bit of that Siegenthaler hangover or one night and every other weekend. I'm not seeing that in younger parents, which gives me a lot of hope, because they're already coming into it saying, what do you mean? I got to work, so why wouldn't I want 50-50 time to enable me to do that? So I'm seeing that already in younger
when you
parents.
say younger, like what age group are you
Well,
talking
certainly parents in their 20s, absolutely. And then
Okay.
almost about 80 or 90% are 50-50, no child support, and pay half of any extracurricular or non-covered medical expenses. From about, that's up to 20 to about 34, and then 35 and up, and more strict as I think the age increases, they stray away from that. So I'm optimistic, give it another 10, 15 years. What are they? Millennials and Gen Z, I hope are going to thank the, what are we? I forget. No one cares. I don't care. We don't care.
Yeah.
Gen X,
Millennials, Gen X,
for stopping this. They're going to say, how did you guys, like, it would just be like, it took 50 years, but it didn't make any sense. And we finally changed it.
You think they'll be doing it by then mostly because of morals or legislation?
Legislation. Morals is a tough one when you're going through a divorce or a custody dispute.
Right.
Yeah. But I think, and this was one real important thing that we hit home throughout our journey in Missouri, and I highly recommend it, is we want these statutes to give guidance to parents who are self-represented or representing themselves or are pro se or don't have a lawyer to sort of tell them the lay of the land or what is a 223 or whatnot. Nowadays, they'll Google it and they'll see their state statute, and it'll say it is the state's legislature's public policy that the child maximize time with both parents. So right from the beginning, those 20 to 34-year-olds are saying, oh, okay, I guess we do it that way.
Right.
Yeah. And skipping, I'm horrible at marketing, and skipping the lawyer fees and skipping all the, I'll get you more money. I'll get you that. Let's just take all that. And they're, I think, doing it right because they've just seen these horror stories.
Or they lived it. Right?
Actually, that's very good. Yes, very good point.
Yeah.
I think so. I've heard horror stories of attorney's fees being upwards of combined both sides over $300,000, and it's just, if that is more than the entire college education right there. So I think it's more, they've gone through it. Maybe that's the morals part. They've gone through it, but seeing that in statute gives them that kind of guidance to then, my rule of thumb is to say, try and get in and out in under 6 months, because no one can be under the microscope for longer than that. And you save money and you have more certainty into your life sooner with a certain schedule. And all that does is just help the kids thrive in an already challenging environment where they're going from one house to two.
Absolutely.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I think that stuff it's already difficult on the kids and stuff. And we need to make it easier. Like families are already breaking up. They're already having hard times. You're not getting divorced because this is the greatest relationship I've ever had. Let's get divorced. Let's mix it up a little bit. Let's add some flavor. It's because things are bad and people aren't getting along. We're not being kind. We're not having a good time, and we need something different. And that it should be a place where we help to bring these people together in a way that they can be responsible and connected and loving parents to their kids, and give the kids the best that they have, opportunities to go out there and be successful, and not like drag them through the mud and destroy both their parents mentally and financially so they can't function. Yeah,
I think so. And I think I've heard it where parents they're not dragging each other through that mud, or even worse, throwing daggers at each other. Like how the heck are you supposed, especially say a 2 to 5 year old, how the heck are you supposed to get along for the next 13 years? Now there's some guideposts I use, like, for example, if we're talking about they want $50 more in child support a month, or something. I look at that. Okay. Now it's easy to say, I know, but $50 a month, $600 a year. I'll say that is the price of your peace of mind, maybe, to get this process done in 6 months, because if you're only talking $600 a year, 6 years is $3,600. How much are you going to pay on a lawyer? And again, I'm bad marketing because but I think that's the truth. Now, the way around that, by the way, real quick, lawyers need to realize this is a volume business. This is not going away. People are always going to break up and always get divorced and always are going to need some guidance through the process. So you switch your hourly rate to a flat rate and get them, and it becomes volume. You get a client in and out of that court case in less than 6 months. Why? Well, I'm getting a flat rate. So whether the case goes 6 months or 6 years, I'm getting the same amount of money. What's the lawyer's incentive? Lawyer's incentive is to get that case done in 3 months, right? And take on twice as many cases. So now that's
and make sure they all come back eventually.
Yeah. I'll come back. Well, yeah.
In other ways.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So
filing for contempt or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. If you haven't just blown 25 grand on the initial case and instead 5, I don't want to say you've got 20 in reserve to do all the modifications. But it does. It does. Alicia, you hit it. Actually, a good point is that provides folks access to justice. If you can't get in front of a court or in front of a judge, and it's not a function of, well, both parents need to start to get along. And I would cringe when I'd hear a judge tell me that. So, Judge, I am getting along. So I go pick up my kid and I can't get it. Yeah.
I'm fine over here.
Yeah. They'll have, maybe a year or two goes by, something comes up, they can afford to, otherwise, again, the other parent learns how to weaponize the system in terms of, I know you won't spend or have $5 grand to go talk to a lawyer, so I'm going to ring you up to $4,999.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good grief. What's Zach doing? He's sitting there on his phone.
I'm answering a text to Alex Holt.
About the hat?
He wants to buy a hat, yeah. And so I said, get me your info and I'll sell you a hat. So kids are dad's hats. I also have them all in shameless plug while we're sitting here, but blacked out. So it has a logo on it and everything. So pretty tricked out.
Do you have a merch shop or online you can purchase them in there?
It's all Zach.
It's all Zach.
What about the Arkansas ones?
It's all just me, yeah.
The shirts. Sorry, Zach.
I
want to know about the shirts.
You know what? I'll turn around. I think they had a website.
Let's just make those shirts.
Well, the ones for it's probably on there. I was just curious if they still sell them.
Oh, I don't know. This is a couple years old.
Missouri looks awful. Your back is sweaty right now, Jeff. It's hot in Missouri. I'm glad I'm not here in the cold.
He's on hot seat. Right. Give him a break.
So this is so embarrassing. I was actually at the Capitol today, and I got up to about 82 or 83, and they were having a fish fry on the front lawn. So all the doors were open, and all that 80 degrees, all that was coming in. All the fish was coming in. I kind of came in the back way, so I didn't realize all that. So after about a half hour, and I'm just sitting. After about a half hour, I'm like, okay, and then I kind of smelled that fish, and I was like, oh no, can't be. So it's been a sweaty day.
that is all right. I'm just giving you a hard time. I also have child support's not for absent fathers, but for failed relationships. I have that shirt that I wore, and I used. That was a fun one at court. I got to explain that shirt in front of.
You wore that to court.
He loved. No, I didn't wear it to court. It was a picture of me and my son while I'm wearing that shirt was shown at court. Like you said, Jeff, earlier. The things you put on social media will be used against you. Do not do things like that.
Yeah.
I got to explain that one. And judges have no humor or anything else. I don't know.
And like anything, it like the other things we've been chatting about, it gets weaponized. I've seen a couple cases. I haven't come across those personally, but where there'll be an order or a party will file a motion to restrict the other parent from posting their kids on social media. And I guess that is a hot button topic. What I mean is if they've got like their Facebook friends or something, my family's out of town. So this is before Facebook. I just did a website, but I only gave the address to them where you could publish it to just like a certain little group.
Right.
But otherwise, you're right. That's all up there. And when I try and educate and teach my clients sort of some of the process, and that's a big one. I actually insist upon in my client agreements and contracts. They agree not to post their case or demean the other parent or anything in social media, because it's just it can just turn around real bad.
It just looks bad. And yeah, I have a guy that I'm talking to right now and supporting and stuff, and he's had a couple of mishaps on posting things he just shouldn't say on social media. Like, talk to your friends about it, like in private, but when you put it out there, the other parent's going to get a screenshot of that immediately, right? And that is just leaving the door open for trouble.
Yeah. And I've been thinking, actually, funny you mentioned that. I've been thinking about that a little bit lately, the last couple of days, because there is when you're going through something like that and you feel you've been wronged by a judge or in court or something, you feel the need to, be vindicated. I want, justice. And it just feels better to vent and get it out, and they end up posting something. And even if they take it down, 30 seconds later, it only takes 2 seconds to do a screenshot. So what I actually recommend to people, if you think that might be a problem, I know at least on Facebook, you can automatically set your privacy to only me. So set it to only me, post something. Even then, I'm not that great about it, because who knows if it really is only me, right? But trying to do something where you can count to 10, you do something fine, but count to 10, sleep on it or whatnot, so it doesn't immediately come back to get you. And after, an hour or two, you can decide if that's something you want to continue to be there. I think the best way, and this kind of gets into some other non-legal strategies I help folks with, is like, say, some CBT type things where you can journal. The problem is, in our high-paced society, today, by the time I write it, whereas I can type so much faster. I can do it on my phone. I can do it here. Maybe, have it unplugged, or have a notes that you type into your phone, something that just isn't connected to the internet or published to the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get it somewhere else,
I did that all the time.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I still get memories, and you know what?
Oh.
They're just motivating for me.
And you know what? I actually do it as well.
I was always blocked anyway, so I don't regret a lick of it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I have my default.
It was therapeutic.
Yeah.
And sometimes, okay, hear me out for a second.
Do you think? I'm going to hear you. Do you think that had an impact in your decision?
No, because I never, it was all after. Like, nothing's going to change this. And no, nothing ever in court or, whatever after that was ever about Facebook or anything like that. Because I was like so blocked. It's fine. Like, it's there. I guess anybody could see it now. I was super blocked, but what was I going to say? It made me lose my train of thought. Sometimes I thought, okay, and I'm from a smaller town, smaller community, mutual friend type things. And sometimes I thought that people being able to learn about the behavior or what the kids were dealing with, or kind of what we were being put through, maybe some confident mutual friend might say something, and then they would be ashamed about it, and then that behavior is going to change. It's like a accountability type thing, because a lot of people that act certain ways, they do it, and it's, all under the radar. You're the only one having to deal with it. Your kids are the only one having to deal with it. Nobody really knows. Their family doesn't know. Their friends don't know. That kind of a thing. They're playing it off a different way. And so I thought sometimes that if I pointed it out, I thought it would change. I thought.
Right.
It didn't happen. But that was my thinking behind it. Right or wrong.
Yeah.
It was a bad idea.
I don't know if it's a bad idea. Before you go to court, the judge can use anything you say against you. The judge, you do something, it's a fact, and a judge can say it's a fact that's positive for you or a fact that's negative. And it's judicial discretion. And so before you go to court, don't post those things. After court, you shouldn't probably either.
Post it like the judge is going to read it. But if maybe post it like your kids are going to read it.
I was just about to say, so with respect
if you're going to,
with respect to that shirt, say, for example, Zach, it's not so much a matter of posting it, but it's hard. We're all human. And
We're all human.
going through this process is incredibly emotional. And we don't immediately necessarily think of, say, the kiddos when we put on that shirt, but notwithstanding posting it, if your kid's old enough to read your shirt that says that, they might draw conclusions or connections. Another example I've heard of, it's silly, but it makes us feel better. It's emotional. We're only human. You might have in your phone your ex, or the other parent, Darth X, or whatever. You look at, what if your 2-3-year-old toddler or 5-year-old happens to get your phone, open it, and see it? You're like, oh man, you know what? So it's more so trying to catch yourself.
Can't read.
It's a bad
I'm just
example.
Joking. I'm just joking.
Or but they can see a picture.
I know. I get what you're saying.
If hypothetically you had a picture of Darth Vader instead of your ex, it might not want to do that.
Right.
I get what you're saying.
But that's the problem. Is we're emotionally tied to it, and you can try and say, take the emotion out of it. Good luck. It's an emotional situation. It's your kids.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, no. And my son was almost 1 year old. It wasn't like and I had my logo on it for our nonprofit, and I sold dozens of those shirts and stuff, and the thing was about bringing recognition to something that's wrong and something that's not in the best interest of our kids. And it could be construed in a different way, and it was about my anger towards the system more so than it was about the system's incorrect and it's not doing our kids justice. But that tagline to be on a shirt is too much, then I got to have like 12-inch font, and so you can't do that on a shirt. But and I'd wear it again, and I do have some more, so if somebody wants it, they can have one. But don't wear it until your court case is over, and don't put it on social media. That's a dangerous place.
Is that a dog?
Yeah. I'm sorry, it is, and
I was just checking.
I
was making sure it wasn't like some other weird.
There you go. You know what? I closed. I have a little doggy door so we can get out, and the dog next door is out.
He sounds like he has floppy ears.
He does. He's a little beagle. If he comes up,
okay.
I'll bring.
That's what it was.
But he's on street patrol, so he's downstairs. In fact, a matter of fact, since that came up real quick, let me just. I know it's not Festivus, but let me just air this grievance. True story.
Festivus?
I did, yeah, because I want to air. I want to air a grievance, and it's a holiday for the rest of us. No joke, 100% true. I think Jeremy was out of town, and I was looking after his dog, also a beagle, who promptly, as soon as I brought over, dogs got along great, no problem. Promptly jumped up on my couch and stared out the window and taught my dog how to bark at people going across. And to this day,
never did that before.
That's
and
hilarious. Now it's all he does. So very. So I have to close that doggy door so he doesn't go and bark outside. He can bark inside, which is much more effective at disturbing podcasts and live streams and all that good stuff.
It's fine. I
digress.
Didn't know if it was an animal or something mechanical.
Yeah. I mean,
Alexander,
kids and stuff come on, everything. So Alexander, I think wearing the hat, that's a hat. You're going for shared parenting. You want to have shared parenting. Saying child sports, what my shirt said is totally different than I think the AFESP hat and stuff. So, and those are great hats.
And your logo too. What's the other one? There's the failed relationships and stop. There's an older one I came across. Stop war on dads or something like that. And it was a child support thing, and dad's in a cage, or I don't know, something like that. But just those graphics, just be careful of it. For example,
the fam ones, everything that Philly makes, basically. Philly, love you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it just like, for example, the AFESP logo, the Kids Deserve Dads logo, those are pretty innocuous. They're shapes to kids, but something like that they could actually see.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the words you can make out, and it has a very clear meaning. Like Kids Deserve Dads has a few different meanings that you could put with that, depending on what you want to have deserves meaning. But AFESP, shared parenting, I think that's a kind and supportive thing, and every kid probably wants to have that also. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, co-parents gonna hate. That's just how it goes. That's why you're getting divorced.
Well, actually, that's interesting. You bring up that term, because that's another thing I try and educate my clients on. Some things I wish I knew, and that's a key word: co-parenting. Let me start with a phrase. Actually, I also was talking about today. You absolutely, you simply cannot be reasonable with the unreasonable. Stop trying to convince someone to understand you who's determined to misunderstand you. You can't do it. And I was hitting my head against a brick wall for probably 10 years, trying to you can't force anyone to do anything, but like to co-parent. Well, guess what? If you don't have two cooperating parents, you're not going to co-parent, period. And actually, I don't think it was until I met the folks in the Facebook groups and AFESP and whatnot, this magical thing called parallel parenting was explained to me. And it's just essentially, you guys can't get along. The sky is green and the grass is blue. You're not going to agree on parenting, co-parenting decisions with your child. So what parallel parenting says is you do your thing with the kiddo and the other parent does their thing with their kiddo. Is it the best for the child? No, I very much regret having to sit, way over on the third baseline when his mom sat way over on the first baseline. So we are as far apart as no kid wants to see that. So it's not the greatest, but you know what? I had peace of mind. There was no fighting, yelling, stares, any of that. You both are at the game. Your kiddo does see both parents at the game, and you parallel parent. And it's important to realize, just as the other parent cannot control what you do with your child during your time, it's reciprocal. You can't control what the other parent does with the child during their time. And you know what? That kind of keeps the peace. It has quality parent-child relationship time without confusing it by trying to force people to co-parent. So I'm big on I wish I'd learned that early. And as soon as I did, I think my kiddo was around 13 or so. Oh my gosh, the peace of mind that came in that I realized, so I'm not a bad person because I'm not co-parenting. I didn't realize, I can't co-parent. No, you're not. So develop your relationship with your child to start and provide the foundations when they're younger, because as I'm also fond of saying, this is a game of long ball. This does not stop when kiddo turns 18. So you need to build those strong foundations. So when the kiddo comes home from college, brings their first girlfriend, boyfriend home, do all those things, you have that foundation that they'll want to continue to do that.
Yeah. No, and that's so important. I think building that foundation, that relationship with your kids, having that communication, that dialogue, and showing them that you're there for them is what gives you that things. Because a kid doesn't turn 18 and then go off into the world. I'll never see you again. It probably only costs you more money and more time as they get older, maybe less actual time, but they're going to be doing things that adults do, and they're not really prepared for it. And so you get to spend money on them. You get to talk to them, and they're going to have more difficult things than should I have Cheerios for breakfast or should I have some eggs? Did I brush my teeth today?
They're tough decisions.
They are tough. Go with the eggs. It's better for you. But Jeff will agree.
Something you mentioned, this is kind of controversial because I don't necessarily want to go over to the area of parental alienation. We can talk about it, but for this specific example, just to tag along to that, establishing that foundation, I don't think we give kids enough credit for figuring things out. And that's the part that might be controversial in alienation cases. So I don't necessarily want to draw that in, but in say non-alienation cases, where you only have for example, I had maybe Tuesday night for a couple hours and then one overnight. So like a Siegenthaler plus or modified or something. So it's not quite alienation because you are seeing kiddo enough. And by the way, the number one thing to fight alienation with is access. But in any event, so say we're not in the alienation room, kids figure things out. And one of the worst things you can do is badmouth the parent in front of that kid, because they will figure it out. They're smart. They're going to say, wait, parent A is saying parent B is no good, loud, yells, whatever. But when I'm over at that parent's house, I don't see any of that. Someone's not telling the truth. So they're going to figure that out in those types of cases, that the more a parent does that, the more they're just going to drive that child to the other parent.
Yeah. If you got problems with a parent, keep it yourself. Say it to your friends. Don't put it on social media. Text your friends, call your friends, go have a drink with your friends, go for a workout with your friends, and that's where you complain. That's where you get that grievance out. That's where you get those feelings out. your kids are smart. I mean, until I had a kid, I didn't realize how smart they were. But when you're 2 or 3, at 2 or 3 years old,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like going, holy smokes! I'm amazed by the intelligence. Like I get to like step my game up to keep up above my son because I was not prepared for us to have these kind of like discussions and him understand things that we're talking
Yeah,
about. And
yeah,
not that I'm going into detail about these kind of things, but just in life
yeah,
in
yeah.
general, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, and kids are very intuitive and very smart, and they know what they need to do to survive and get by. Um, and 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 I think having both parents is a good thing. You talked about the parallel parenting thing. Um, I've heard, and I haven't talked to the judge here. I don't have access to the judges, so I haven't talked to the judges here. But I have been told
Yet.
by lawyers, yeah, yet I checked today. I did not get the word from the bar yet, but it should be soon, next week or so. But that the judges here are completely against parallel parenting, and if you suggest that's like a death sentence for getting equal parenting time.
Well, you don't
Well,
necessarily. I mean, this is sort of attorney stuff. You don't necessarily suggest it. I mean, in my own sort of personal case, yeah, I was 5 or 6, 7 years post judgment. It was
Right.
just as here's what I'm really big on. It was a non-legal strategy to deal with a certain issue. So, for example, when something like that happens, and Zach, you mentioned it, don't post online, and you said don't text. I actually, instead of just sitting there stewing about it, and I want to tell someone, there's no one around. I've texted myself. I feel
Yeah.
better getting it out there. I see the text come in from me. Hey, Jeff. Yeah, you're right, Jeff. Damn it, you're right. But you know what? I've got a non-legal situation that I just fixed by getting it out, get that vent, whatever. If I didn't have someone to text, I just text myself, and I see it on my phone. That makes me feel better. And next thing you know,
Mhm.
mood changes, and away you go.
there you
Right.
go.
I mean, don't text your ex. You text a friend, something like that, but keep it away from people who you might be concerned that they could be like, playing both sides and stuff. Have a friend who you can trust. Have a support group. There's a bunch of dads that are in support groups and stuff together. You have a community here of dads and non-custodial parents who are connected. Like, make a friend from this group. You can go on to Kids or Dads. We have 36,000 followers. You can go to Tough. They have 200,000
Mm-hmm.
people. You can't tell me if you're making comments on there and you're not having people that are agreeing with you and liking your comments over and over again, and you're commenting on those people. Reach out to those people. Make a friend. They probably
Yeah,
play Fortnite also. I'm Dad God
yeah,
28 in case you want to know. Dad God 28. Let's blow some
yeah.
people
But
up. So
Dad
Bill,
bod.
Dad
I
Dad
think he's
God,
bod.
that
Oh,
God.
Dad God.
I'm
Could be
dad bod.
Dad Bod too. No, I'm more Dad
Brother.
God Bod than anything else right now. So
I thought you said dad bod.
Dad God with a
I want to
G.
answer this
So
question.
go for it.
Yes, Dave. Yes.
And why do you think? I guess that's part two. Dave, I'll jump in. Do women have the advantage? I feel like they do. If you think so, and if you think yes, why so? I flipped it. I'm all of a sudden interviewing you guys.
Yeah.
Go
Why?
ahead.
Why, Alicia?
Why?
Mhm.
We already talked about this earlier.
Let's hear
Because
it again.
of I don't think you want me to answer this one.
Yes, I do. Let's hear it. Come on. You want to hear my reason?
There's
I
Go
agree.
ahead, please. I'll
I agree. I do think that women have an advantage, and I think it's because
Yes,
of
they do.
stereotypes and a lobbying group that pushes women to be providers and be the ones who are supposed to be responsible for this stuff.
Right. Okay, so
Feminist movement
it goes
is
back to like the feminist movement. No, not even that. Sorry, tender years doctrine, all that kind of stuff. Okay, and that's just the way it's always been. That's why. Because that's the way it's always been.
women are seen as providers, and
No,
these laws were made in the 70s and
caretakers.
60s.
Women are not seen as providers.
Caretakers.
Women
And in the
are seen
60s and
as
70s, when they
caretakers
were
of the
staying at
children.
home,
Right.
they are still in the laws, and a lot of the judges and stuff probably all graduated from law school. Most of them probably still graduated law school in the 80s,
And
or
who's more likely to
maybe
pay child
90s.
support? Men are more likely to pay child support. Men are more likely to make more money than the women.
Right.
So
Well, and the enforcer through Title 4D, they go after men a lot more
Sure.
than they go after women.
Well, let me-
Those are the ones that.
it's because of the pay grade, right? You could have two people, married people, getting divorced. But my opinion, if everybody's equal, and everything's fine, but dad makes more money than mom, and they're not fighting for a shared parenting or a 50-50 situation, regardless, mom's going to get primary physical custody, dad's going to pay child support, and it has to do with money.
Well, would you
Most
say
of the time.
that? Would you say that? Well, I guess let's just go right up to the 2020s. Is that still the case in 2020s, where there are more women in the workforce and more women CEOs, and sort of a divestiture from those traditional gender roles of the 70s, maybe 80s?
So I think it depends on the state and the judge, and it does depend on a lot of specifics. But
Mm-hmm.
I have
think that
met
the real
personally
travesty
a
is
lot of women, CEO type, high pay grade type women, and they fall into the category that most men do. Maybe
Right.
it's, there's so many factors, but we still, I think in most cases, they still have the upper hand in the courtroom.
I think they do too, but I think they do for those reasons, but also different additional reasons that go back to what we were talking about with respect to support groups and mental health and whatnot. I think women have the advantage because women talk to each other. And I think that's just a function of gender, because that's going to be contrary to what I conclude at the end. But women talk. Men, I wish we would talk more. We don't. We go into our caves and we solve problems by ourselves. So we don't talk. And so that's what I wanted to say when we were chatting earlier. I'm a huge fan of those men's support groups, of those mental health things. In fact, I've been a part of the main one. I can't think of the name, the dad support community or dad's group. I don't actively participate in it, but I sure read those posts because I can just identify with it, and it helps with respect to my mental health, say that I know I'm not the only one going through this, because, and this is the weird thing, as an attorney, I see these same attributes regardless of gender. I'm not saying I don't think women have the advantage or that adverse situations happen more to men. I think they do, adverse outcomes. I think they do. But the traits I see, I don't think are based on gender. I've seen controlling abusive men, and I've seen controlling abusive women. And I just wish we could, it'd be interesting, is if the first thing litigants did when they filed papers, custody or divorce papers, is they get into a mental health professional. Never mind a GAL, go see a therapist. Now, we'd have to have rules about evidence and is it admissible and whatnot. But I truly believe this is a mental health issue as opposed to a gender issue. It does affect adversely men more. And I think if men could talk more with each other, and I think younger generations are, you see this proliferation of support groups and all these great things. So
right. And men don't talk that much, and I think men are like, I can fix it, right? Like the man's mentality, for the most part, is like, I can fix anything. Like our relationship sucks. I'm gonna stick here. I'm gonna tough this thing out, and I'm gonna make it happen. I'm not gonna give up until the very bitter end. And then even when they go and like, hey, you've been served papers, and like it's day 20, and you gotta like respond.
right.
I'm gonna fix this today. Like this is still, I got 7 minutes left. I can solve this, and I'm not gonna get any help yet because I'm gonna fix it by myself. So it's definitely something that is. Hey, my mom put a post up here. What's up, Mom? Yeah, I mean, I think even before 1880s, but there, family law stuff. She got it to work. Hey, you know what? I knew my mom figured it out. Love you, Mom. We were before the show. We were talking about how we're gonna get her on here, so she made it on. And we were talking about when they started doing some of these laws, and I think back in like the 1800s and stuff, the dads actually got custody back then, mostly because kids need to work in the fields.
Take care of the kids. Well, and also dad had money.
Right.
Well, and
Dad
probably
had the money. It made sense then, right?
And legal status. Legal. That's not the right way.
Women didn't really have rights to anything after
voting. When
women didn't vote, but they had rights. Like they could get inheritance and that kind of stuff. I just don't think women had. Guys were the ones working. Guys were we were still an agrarian society in the 1880s, moving into industrialized society at that point in time, and with that industrialization, dads were still the ones. If you have 5 kids working in the fields, you got to still work the fields. and everybody has to be providing food and that kind of stuff. And if somebody has to leave, it's the woman leaving, going back with their family, and the kids are staying.
He could take
And then
care
we
of
went
everybody.
I mean, this would be a whole nother show about how we do all the different and then tender years doctrine and stuff, and how they transition through those time periods and these beliefs. And what we've learned is that kids who have both their parents do better. You know, if you can have both your parents, you do better. Mom's not as good as both parents, and dad's not as good as both parents. And we need to have a way that our kids can get both our parents as much as possible. And the government needs to support kids being healthy and happy and successful in life, and not using them as ways to generate more funds. And I think if we get focused on how are we going to help our kids be successful in this world, and having the kind of life that we should all want our kids to have, that needs to be our priority. And if we focus on that, we'll get rid of this system that's out there to oppress kids and use kids as weapons to make money. And the government does it more than parents do. And parents are incentivized by a government who is incentivized to hold kids hostage in this fashion. And it's the government that's out there making the laws and making the situations that are putting this in play, where parents are pitted against each other for control and money for the kids. And if we got the government out of the way, the parents would do better because they would have to.
I agree with you, but we're starting now, and isn't it amazing to see that trend where we've gone from one state, Arizona, to 2 states, Kentucky to 3 states, Arkansas to 4 states, Missouri. We're living that change now because we've been through it, and we're just saying stop the insanity. And I think within 10 years you'll see 45 states all have this, because why are we fighting? The only winners in a divorce or custody case are the attorneys. Everyone else is a loser. And the fact that we I hate, have to use that paradigm of who wins and who loses. Y'all lose. There's no winners. And that's the key thing actually behind 50-50 is we are changing this from an adversarial system. I don't want to say a cooperative system, but let's just say to a non-adversarial system, where my definition of winning isn't kids and money. It's a healthy child with access to both parents. So we're starting to see that, and isn't it finally wonderful?
It is.
Yeah, it is. It is wonderful.
You've done so much work, and you have so much more work left to do.
It's so funny because after we finally had the law passed here in Missouri, everyone had this sort of sense of relief and everything. And I'm like, no, the real work now is just starting. We've got to defend this now. And that's exactly what we've been doing this last session is, defending against bills that have been filed to roll back time to say, you know what, instead of having a child in Missouri choosing what they would like to, instead of a child having unobstructed input into their custodial arrangement, let's go back to where the child's input on their custodian.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You mean you're going to ask that child to pick between mom or dad? Here's my suggestion. Here's my proposal. Here's my dream. Why not, instead of picking mom or dad, pick mom and dad? Because you can with 50-50, and your kid does better than ever. So I think we're seeing with the generation and whatnot, the problem is, going back to the 1800s, the only way we had as a society of resolving our disputes, the neighbor's 1800s, the neighbor's cow broke the fence, and was to go to court and seek compensation or whatnot for those damages. Well, then you have this issue of a divorce or family. How do we resolve those disputes? Well, we go to court like all the other stuff. Well, that's how it started in an adversarial way. And I think we're finally wresting that back and saying, no, it needs to be a not psychological. It needs to be not adversarial. Yeah, family matter. Yeah.
Not adversarial.
Get rid of GALs and hire therapists and whatnot, and just really work with. Because here's the other thing, real quick. What I find too is, I practice this and see it every day, but my clients, this is the first time they've ever gone, typically the first time they've gone through a divorce or a custody case. They don't know what to expect or what, so I actually use that sort of speech about adversarial because that's the only way we have. Let's instead try and say, it's not a matter of winner and loser. It's a matter of, because y'all lose, let's get to, even if it's parallel parenting, where we at least minimize the damage or minimize the trauma that kiddo is going to go through.
Right. Minimizing the trauma.
But yeah.
There's a huge push on all these things about ACEs and stuff. You know, I mean, the government talks about ACEs all the time, and and then we're out there like actively giving our kids ACEs by having these drag out fights in courts and stuff, and the government sanctioned it. I think that's the biggest problem that I've seen, and when I talk to people about it, is that lawyers are meant to go to court to win, right? And that's like the way the whole legal system is designed. There's a problem, and we got to resolve it. And somebody has to win, and somebody has to lose. And you know, my judge came to my class, and my judge said flat out, somebody shows up, I decide who the winner is before the court happens, and then I punish that person for the extent of the law. And I'm like, that's a terrible way to do family law. Like, what idiot started that, and why are you still doing it? Like, do you have a brain, or are you just like following the line?
Yeah, well, I think here's why, and it's problematic from an attorney's point of view, because I am charged. Come at it this way: doctors take an oath, Hippocratic oath, to do no harm. Okay, lawyers take an oath to zealously represent their clients. My fiduciary duty is to my client, not the kid. No, that's for a GAL to decide. I have to make sure my client wins because I have to zealously represent my client. Now, that's not the same as taking an oath to do no harm. Harm be damned. If I get my client more money, I've done my job ethically according to our ethical regulations. Now, I build into that with at least my clients or parents I try and work with. You want the best for your kiddo, right? So let's look at it. Let's come at it from this way: that what's best for you is what's best for your kiddo. I'm still zealously representing my client's interests. I just think it's fundamentally different than a doctor who takes an oath to do no harm. We do not do that. We do not do that.
No. And I think, I just think getting the education out there, you know, having it in the law schools about this stuff and changing these laws will then make the law schools actually teach this stuff about how we can do this stuff in a constructive way. When the system is still designed around this fight and drag out fight for money and control, that's what they're going to be teaching about. You know, I went through law school after you did, Jeff. So in our book, there was one paragraph about parental alienation in the book, and it basically said it's garbage, that it's junk science, and it's not real. Like, that was all that was in there, you know? And how is that even going to be helpful, you know?
Right.
So it's really tough. I'm not single. Well, I mean, I'm Alicia's married. I have a girlfriend.
I missed.
That's not the one I even put up there.
I missed that. Wait a second. Whoa, what happened? I totally. Boring. They're boring. Oh my goodness. Well,
crickets. Well, maybe one day, Dave, we can talk about doing a debate.
Sorry, Dave, we're not making fun of you, but that was a funny comment, and I just wanted to put it up there.
Yeah, a little bit.
But no, nobody.
I just.
We're not single.
Oh my goodness! I didn't have my comment window open. I just clicked. Oh wow.
Now you can see them all.
Right?
Yeah. I was like,
careful, it's kind of scary sometimes.
There's been quite a few that have popped up here and that kind of stuff.
Oh my goodness! So. I wouldn't pay attention. I was like, I wonder where the comments. Oh, click on comments.
I've been kind of like getting in a little bit of Dave stuff for the last few minutes and stuff, but I haven't really read them all concisely. But you know, I'm glad you're still here and that you're enjoying it. I think we'll keep doing it. I'm never opposed to a good debate. I don't know what we would debate about. Like, what do you disagree that we're talking about? I guess so. I think
there's a debate. What are you talking about?
I don't know. You
debate me, please. I have a lot of. Sure, we'll schedule you up.
That's Dave's last comment there. What does it take to win? I mean, that's kind of what we've been talking about in terms of the turning point for a judge. You know, what's it take to win? Well, what does it take to win? I think what it takes to win is to change your definition of what winning is. You know, winning, and it's hard because you're going through. Typically, the two parents are going through a breakup, and it's emotional, and they want to. You know, you did this to me, I'll do that to you, and the whole bit. So I think you have to change your definition of a win. And you know, a good attorney, I think, reels their clients in and says, you're not going to get everything under the sun. And we need to change your definition of a win to be, what is the healthiest atmosphere for my child? right?
Mm-hmm.
Not I'll get you another night instead of $300-$500 a month in child support. Sorry, I'm just picking up. So I think the way to win is to change your definition of a win.
Right. Right. I agree that the win needs to be, how do we help our kids come through this unscathed, or with, with the least amount of scars and stuff as possible. And the same thing for the parents. Like, let's make this a simple, easy process. Like you said, like, hey, flat fees, and let's get this done in 3 months. Like, let's not drag this whole thing out. Like, unless you're a bad person, and a bad person who's like a child abuser, or
Right.
active drug user and stuff, like, those kind of things. Those are wares
Sure.
that you shouldn't, but that the vast majority of us are just good enough parents. Like, most people are just good enough. And when you're together and there's no problems, you're just good enough. You're fine. But then all of a sudden, then, oh well, now are you the best, that you can be? Or are you better than that person? And it should be, hey, you're not hurting the kids. You're just doing a good job, and you feed them, you water them, you give them a place to sleep, and you clothe them. You're just good enough, and that's all that the standard should be.
Well, I think because otherwise it can turn into what's unfortunate has happened here in Missouri. I think three times in the last easily 3 months. One was just Monday this week, court hostage standoff, and we've had 3 cases I can think of where it's gruesome, and I apologize for that, but where the soon-to-be ex-husband has taken his gun and shot mom right in the head, right in front of the kids. There's been 4 of those in the last 4 years here in Missouri, and the first thing that goes through my mind is, my God, how can we make this process so that doesn't happen, and like a flat rate or under 6 months, or any of those things. I wanted to,
or a presumption in the law that already says both of
right.
you are going. It's presumed that there's going to be 50-50 for everybody.
Absent those
There's a
clear sort of
presumption.
things.
Yes.
So there's David mentioned one thing I want to follow up. He said he said the definition of win doesn't change in court, though. We need to win in court. Because that goes back. We're still under this adversarial system, but that's as we're getting younger judges that kind of understand this a bit more. I think that's what I think that's what it's going to take. Now, another example: what does it take directly to answer? We need to win in court. So here's how I changed my definition of winning. We need to win in court. All right, they come up with an issue, and I don't fight it. And it was maybe return the kiddo at 8 instead of 8:30. I don't know, something. It's a half hour. I'm trying to think. What's problematic is I've changed my definition of winning to be, I think, what's best for the child. So I don't have to accept every invitation to an argument I'm given. And this took me a long time to learn sort of personally, but I started to realize I can choose my battles. And then when I realized I can choose my battles, I didn't choose any. I lost my peace of mind. Now, I gave up some things and things that weren't fair. Yes. But that is how I win, Dave, in court, is I changed that definition in terms of realizing some of those things. So I think that's where we need to, and I think where society is going. I think as those younger, folks get older, we'll see hopefully the end of this type of thing, especially the violence and the shooting. And we had a standoff, it was just in the parking garage. I think the husband was just behind the seat of the wife that got in and had a gun with them. And that's all it takes. Right. We've got to do something to stop the violence and everyone just going off the deep end. And we can do that with rebuttable presumptions. We can do that with, lawyers ringing in their clients from the beginning saying, look, you an over the road, over the night truck driver, you're not getting 50-50. Right. Because of the, sorry, I hate to say this, because of the nature of your job. I don't necessarily mean it that way, but the reality is if you have a 2-year-old and you drive a truck over the road overnights or work a third shift, if you think you're going to be going to court, maybe get a first or second shift job, because that third shift is going to be tough, to get that 50-50 with.
Yeah. Right. But it would probably be your preference to tell everybody to, the last place you want to be is in the courtroom.
the last place
Oh,
you want. It's so unsafe.
It's the
It's not a
last place
safe place to
anybody
be at.
wants to be.
and it's weird
Anybody.
saying
Is it?
it's weird saying this as a lawyer. It is the absolute last place you want to be. And if you are
Yeah.
in there, how do I get you out as quick as I can, unscathed, untraumatized? Just by the sheer nature of what it takes 4 months to get a hearing date,
Right.
so yeah, from a lawyer, avoid it. It sounds weird because it's kind of what I do, but it's not healthy. Avoid it at all costs. Now, with the exception of, I mean, if South Dakota is one night and every other weekend, and the other parent is just saying, no, screw you every other weekend. Well, okay, that's a battle. Maybe I can't, you know, you're completely getting rid of my night. What if instead of overnight, it's this or that or the other thing? But, I think that's what our focus needs to be on.
Yeah. No, and I think as a good lawyer, the goal is to not have your clients go into court. Like, yes, a lawyer's job is to get fees, to get billable hours. That's how lawyers get paid. And but
Well,
a
to
good
an
lawyer who
extent.
cares about it, if you care about your clients, if you care about what's best for them, them paying you money and doing a drag out fight is not going to move them forward. The goal is to get you out of this thing as least damaged as
Sure.
possible, because court is damaging in
Yeah,
every
let me
way.
answer Daniel's question. So, just on what you were saying, Zach, I just absolutely refuse to put profits over people. I refuse to make millions off of someone's misery. And this guy's a typical family lawyer, doesn't fight for what you want, just goes along with the system. Well, I look at what would be the best for a kiddo having both parents maximize time in their life. So, Daniel, I don't know you and I don't know what you want, but Daniel, if you want sole custody and you want the other parent to have minimal time or supervised visits, I'm going to look at that other parent. I'm going to say, well, tell me why do they have an addiction? Are they alcoholic? Then maybe you have a point. But potential client who comes into my office, if you're telling me you want everything under the sun and so illegal and so physical, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. So I don't know what you mean by fighting for what you want, because a lot of times what you want, not saying you, Daniel, a lot of times what folks in family court want is to get back at the other side. And that's what we've got to pull out. So I'm not saying not fight for what you want in terms of if the other side is only saying every other weekend, no, then you've got no choice. You've got to fight. What I'm saying is, how do I de-escalate this from the beginning so it doesn't get out of hand? And you're all of a sudden, Daniel, you've all of a sudden spent here's the thing. You all of a sudden spent 25 grand for a lawyer to take your case to trial. Guess what? When you lose that trial, I get the perfect excuse. Oh man, it didn't go our way. I thought the judge was going to rule, us, but he didn't. But you had to pay for my services. So I'm sorry you lost, but I still get my 25 grand either way.
And that's what happens
That is
almost
what a
every single
typical
time.
family lawyer does.
97% of the time.
It disgusts me. And yes, we need to get paid for our work. Yes. But when I can get someone divorced in a standard case, both fit, willing, and able parents, if I can do that for $5,000, why are some lawyers charging 25 grand? And why are people paying it? People are paying it because we do not educate our consumer in the legal system. We don't have consumer protection. We have someone coming to us at the worst possible time in their life. And me as a lawyer, what do I do as a lawyer? I'm trained to persuade. I'm trained to persuade 12 people to go along with what I tell them. Okay. So if I can do that for 12 people who are not going through the worst time in their life, and I've got someone coming into my office that is in their worst time of their life, where are the consumer protections? What these lawyers do is say, I'll get you that. I'll get you that. We have the perfect out at trial after you've blown 25, 30 grand to say, oh man, didn't go our way. But you know what? We should file an appeal. Another 15 grand right there. How is that, Daniel, how is that winning? How are you getting what you want when you've spent 25 grand on a trial, 15 grand on an appeal, and you still, I just have a different view on it.
Yeah. No.
Whew.
And I agree. I think my intention when I'm a lawyer, I have a really in-depth parenting plan that I got from Pathways
Yeah, what's your
Parenting.
intention, Zach?
I'm gonna take my clients for all the dollars they got. No, I don't want to do that at all. I want to help dads not have this problem, and I really would love to do a lot of mediation work, because I believe that if we can get parents to see that the best thing for everybody is to have shared time to organize it and think about it logically and without being emotional and vengeful, but being connected around how do we do the best for our kids and give them what we got, that we can come to an agreement that's going to make sense for everybody and be flexible and be giving and be open, because the goal is to be done with the relationship and to be the parent to your kids, and your parents are going to have both their parents as much as possible. And a good lawyer would do that. The problem is that, Jeff, and you know this, you get a client, they're going against another lawyer, and you get, I don't know, some crappy lawyer who is going to just, not agree to anything. And then your client is stuck, right? And you're like, I know this person, and this lady is a bulldog that people call her, right? Like she's gonna go for the win, bulldog. But all she does is go out there and just make you pay every dollar possible and as much as humanly possible, and they just break you up.
Yeah, and I think part of that education I do is one of the things I at the very first meeting I clearly communicate is I can help you with this, or some non-legal strategies, some legal strategies. Here's the approach. What I cannot do is control the position the other side takes and the other side's lawyer takes. Can't do it. And if they, one case, typically, well, there's rules now that, typically you have to exchange, say, some mandatory discovery, tax returns, tax returns, wage stubs, and it's so common that we're supposed to do it. But what if you get a lawyer that says, no, I'm not voluntarily giving you that. You have to formally serve me a discovery request, to which they have 30 days to answer. Then maybe they file a motion for extension of time. There's another 30 days, and you're now 60 days in, with nothing. So it's unfortunate, but I do try and tell my clients and folks that I can't control the position they take or the position their lawyer takes.
Right.
Definitely.
We should read Linda's comment. It's too long to put up here.
Probably is too long. Cover half our faces and stuff.
Will it? Let's try.
I don't know.
Oh.
Hey, there you go. Oh, the last part. They should all. Well, that's cut out in the thing too, though.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Darn. Hold on.
They should all, Linda. They should all something.
Settle out of court. That's what she's gonna say.
Right.
So it says, first-time divorcing parents don't know what to expect. They're silly enough. To believe justice will win. The wheels of justice turn so slow or not at all in family court. Doing what is being worked on today is what will grease the wheels of justice. I look so very much to a time when the courts will be there to fall back on the unusual cases. The other cases will go on through because the other cases... I'm very blind. Because the parents can make an agreement that is good for the children and the parents. Sorry, I'm blind.
Yeah.
I think, forgive me if I'm wrong, Linda, I think...
She's so wise.
I think what Linda's getting at is when we have a starting point of 50-50, and those cases with fit, willing, and able parents can be adjudicated or resolved in 6 months, that's going to free up the docket for those truly complex cases of actual domestic violence. I've got a police report and a black eye. I've got rehab records. That was actually a big argument, a strategy we use, is that's going to clear up. It's going to clear the docket of all those, things that should be done in 6 months anyways. So we can, so the judiciary can spend time on the truly, violent cases or whatnot.
Right, or like the ones that are false allegations, right? Like those would come out there too and stuff. And we're gonna have Dean Tong on next week. Dean's gonna be on our next show, and like those are cases to go to and fight. I think Daniel's about, if the other person's being unreasonable and they won't let you see your kids, you have no choice at those point in times that you have to then go to court to get what's right for yourself and your kids, or you just let it go. But you have to go.
I think that's what Daniel's saying in his comment. They're trying to sell out of court, but trying to sell out of court, but the other parent makes such great demands that it's impossible. And that's what we talked about before, is you cannot be reasonable with the unreasonable, and you can't convince someone who's determined not to convince you. What you can do, Daniel, is spend $55,000 to get basically right where you are right now. And I wouldn't take your money, because I can't. I'm not going to be able to bring satisfaction to that demand.
Yeah. And those are times you got to fight, but hopefully as we're getting more and more along, people are seeing this, and we make laws that make this be the standard, and that you have the preponderance of the evidence being in favor of shared parenting, and that's the presumption. Then it becomes really difficult for somebody to go out there and hold the kids hostage and make this a drag out fight for that control. And so that takes a lot of the fight out of this stuff. And then it becomes for real good cases, or you have proof in to show that they're not. And that gets a lot of this stuff taken out, where right now, in most places, like where you live in, I know Daniel, so he lives in Ohio, and where you live in Ohio, one person gets to have majority of the time, and that person gets to have visitation. And so what they do is they weaponize a kid, and somebody holds them hostage, and they're like, hey, I already have control. I'm not letting go. And what are you going to do about it?
Yep.
And that's not seen as bad, as wrong, and it should be. And that's where we're at. And that's the problem. And that's why we need to change the laws, because that should be seen as wrong. And the law should be on the favor of, that's wrong. That's not how we treat our kids. And that's not how we do this parenting in divorce.
Well, it's also, frankly, a violation of due process. And that goes back to one of the comments about, does the U.S. Constitution apply? And sort of before delving into that, is the idea behind a starting place of 50-50 is we are no longer making judgments, decisions, court orders based on mere allegations. You have to have proof. So, for example, if you allege that the other parent is addicted or alcoholic and they're in a 30-day rehab, you're basing that decision, you're basing that on evidence, not an allegation. In the absence of evidence, sometimes called evidentiary or an evidentiary hearing, in the absence of evidence, you violated, in my opinion, that person's right to due process, which is protected by the U.S. Constitution. It's kind of hard to otherwise answer that or get into constitutional issues, because the question is kind of vague. Does the Constitution apply? Well, what parts? Due process? Yeah. You have state constitutional rights as well. So it does, but it sort of depends on what context. So it's kind of hard to answer that question. But yeah, evidence over allegations provides, and an adjudicative hearing, an evidentiary hearing provides due process, which is a constitutional guarantee.
Amen.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah, no, I think exactly what I need to be and stuff with it. And I think it's what Linda goes to and stuff. And it's just, we need a systemic change. We need lead out there helping these other states to bring these laws around and change these laws, because that's what's going to get us the results. And that's what's going to protect the families. It's going to protect the parents who aren't out there trying to be vengeful and hurtful from being damaged by a system that rewards somebody for wanting to damage somebody else, and
or get back at them emotionally.
Yeah. And the system rewards that, and that's wrong. And so these laws need to be changed in the states that you live in. Work on these states. Daniel, you live in Ohio. There are people out there working on that right now. I think We the Parents movie is a group of people that are out there working on this stuff actively right now in Ohio. Kyle, I don't know where you live, and I think it's Dave that's up here.
Daniel.
Yeah.
You gotta get involved.
Get involved with your state. Find the people that I don't know where you live and stuff, and I've never seen your comment before, but wherever you're from, my friend, get involved, get active, find a group. And if there's not a group, in Wyoming there wasn't a group. There was nobody doing this in Wyoming when I was going through this stuff, and I was like, what the heck? There's nobody doing this, and so I just took it upon myself. I was like, I'm going to start a 501c3 and I'm going to fight this by myself, and so I just did, and then I found people who were active and wanted to be involved. I found Alicia. I found my friend Daniel Soea. I found Arthur Cook, Philly Slim. I found all these people. All of a sudden, I got Mark Ludwig. I got Jeff Millar on my team. I got all these people because I knew that something wasn't right. I knew that something had to change. And then what I was going through and my son was having to face was not okay. And that it had to be changed and it had to be worked on. And the nice thing is that you're coming into this 7 years after me, 12 years after Alicia, something like that.
What?
Probably how long you been you been divorced or separated for? Divorced for how long?
Who, me? Oh no,
Me?
Yeah, Jeff, how long?
Okay.
I mean, my kiddo's 20. I got divorced when he was 2, so 18
years, right?
It's really only 10
and you're 10 years. Yeah. And so, there's a bunch going on. There's so much happening out there right now, and we live in this day and age where there's social media out there and everybody can be connected so easily. Get out there, put it up there. Take the posts I put on Kids Or Dads and that you see on AFESP, and you see these posts, go around all the pages and just take their posts and keep posting on there, and it's going to get to different people in your state. People are going to find it. Put on some events. Bike to school with your kids.
Here's what I see too is what that'll shift is. It's funny. I picked up on, Zach, you said in your experience that nobody's doing this, and start a group and the whole bit. Personally, I had the opposite experience in that an amazing woman I will never forget, legislator named Kathy Swan. I found out in 2016 in Missouri, after no, it's 2016 in Missouri, a case came out called Morgan v. Morgan. And it talked about a new law that was passed the year earlier in 2015. And I looked up that law and I saw this legislator, Kathy Swan. And I looked at my computer screen before I got involved with anyone. I was just sort of me. And I was amazed. I was like, wow, somebody is doing something. And now that's gone from like no one in Missouri to Kathy Swan filed her bill in 2015 to now we've got national groups all telling, advising and teaching and suggesting and supporting how to change it. So I think, Zach, we're going to get to the point where there won't be a world anymore where nobody is doing this. It's going to be somebody is doing something. And to be careful with social media, but that can connect all these groups together. Join a group, create a group.
Join a group, create a group.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're out there, and people want to do it. I mean, get involved. I'm doing a kid's dad's bike to school day on the last Thursday here in Rapid City, and May 23rd. If you got kids in school, bike to school with your kids on May 23rd. Go and do that. Take that time. Go whenever you get a chance. Take that chance. Start it at your school. It took me. I made a flyer. I didn't even give you my copy of my flyer. Copy it. Go out there and make this stuff happen and get involved in your community. Start doing little things here and there. You'll be surprised how many people are going through this, how many men and women are facing this stuff, and how much this needs to change. And people are on your side, and they'll come and they'll keep going. But most people are apathetic and don't want to do the work or don't know where to start. And you start by just moving, doing something to move it forward.
And what, as someone who I guess advocates, and I didn't know what I was doing 7 years ago. I still don't know. I didn't know what I was doing 7 years ago. I did not take family law in law school, and here I am. But as someone in the role that I am in now, what would really help, or what I find helps, on your point, Zach, is also find your skill, find your niche, find what you're good at, and then bring that to a group like LEAD, like AFESP, like Kids Deserve Dads. And forgive me if this sounds sort of short or curt, but stay within your skill range, stay within your lane, because what we find is in the earlier days in Missouri, we tried to make sure, say we had 6 people all testifying at a hearing. We can't have all 6 people testifying about the same thing. So Jeremy and I would go through and chat with them and say, okay, let's use your beginning, your middle, and your end type of thing, and stay in that area so we can get the story out, or so we can promote our cause or these types of laws. If you find what your skill, your niche is, maybe it's doing memes, maybe it's making TikToks, maybe it's writing laws, but if you can find that, and if you're someone looking for what can I do, because I personally found it hard to sort of donate financially, so I donated my time. Find what you're good at, donate your time, and all of a sudden your group's going to go from a Kathy Swan to a LEAD to an AFESP, and now everyone's working on this. So that's another thing you can do as well, Zach.
I agree. I think that's a huge point. I am kind of a jack of all trades. I do a lot of stuff in my nonprofit. I make flyers, but how I got into it and what I really was good at, I'm a connector. I was a realtor. I'm a salesman, and so I knew what my strong point was. I put on events and that kind of stuff. I've already been doing that, and so I knew I could put on events. I knew I could connect people. I had access to resources because I knew all the lenders and all the insurance guys and everybody else in the community, and they all knew who I was. And so I just started putting together and bringing them up, and then people are, oh, this person's gone through this too, and this person's gone through this too, and then they all started working with me on this stuff, and that was my strong set. I do type things. I make flyers. I made my own flyers. I am not a graphic design guy. My flyers look like a non-graphic design guy, but it's okay, and I would love to have a graphic design guy be on my team to help me out. It's not a paying position. And you have to do it because you have a love for being part of this change. So if you're looking to do that kind of stuff, if you want to get involved, hit us up, hit up AFESP, hit up Jeff, hit up these guys and say, hey, I have this skill. What could I do I could do this. Can I help you guys out? And I guarantee most of these groups would be like, you know what? I could use you to do just that, and I can tell you what I want,
Yeah. I think that's what it takes initially to sort of get everyone sort of functioning in that respect. And you mentioned the key word, Zach, you're a connector. I'm not necessarily a connector, not from here. I'm, from Canada and whatnot. So, but I can educate or teach someone, here's how a rebuttable presumption works. And I can make all the lovely, wonderful charts in the world that I can. But if I don't have a connector to open that door for me, it's no good. It's no good.
Right.
And it's funny because we were just chatting about that today. It was actually in some of my meetings today, Linda Jones, not sure if she's still on, had made this appointment for me today. And if Linda hadn't done that, what good is it me doing all these things? Because I don't have someone that's the connector that opens the door. I can bring my substantive knowledge in, but I don't know anybody. It's no good. And I try and stick with that. So I don't try and go from my substantive knowledge to, okay, how do I start opening doors? No, I've got a Linda Jones for that. I can, bring them in. Jeremy and I kid because Jeremy's strategy it's phenomenal. Put it this way. He is the best. Jeremy is the second best attorney I know. And it's sort of an inside joke. He's not an attorney, but his strategy is unbelievable. And putting these things together, it's amazing because he's got all this strategy. I cannot see it. I don't see the playing field. I don't see the positions, any of that stuff, but I see a chart. And Jeremy is like, we'll be going over something, and Jeremy's like, I can't do it. I don't know how you put a green box there. I'll put the green box there, but I don't know what to put in it. And so the two of us, and as long as I can make those green boxes and Jeremy can tell me what to put in it, we're meshing. And I don't try and go and figure out what to put in the box because I don't know, but I'm really good at doing those green boxes. But nobody outside your unit, your group sees that. They just see this fantastic looking product. And I think that's what keeps groups cohesive and working together is if you bring your special skill, the others bring their special skill, and you combine all that into your final finished product.
Right. And Danny, you're saying you're a gas hauler, right? And you don't have, can you bring to the table? You can talk to the people, ask them what they can do. They're going to have stuff. You can go to the legislature. You can send emails. You can be a gas hauler while you're out there waiting for the gas to be loaded up or unloaded. I don't know. I've never loaded or hauled gas, but there's probably downtimes at some moments in time where you can send out emails. You can take an email in. You can pass it on. You could share Facebook pages. You could bring people into the fold. There are opportunities all over the place to bring people in and get them to see the messages that we're trying to do. And so just because your day-to-day job isn't necessarily something that is going to be groundbreaking, like you don't have a degree in legislative writing, doesn't mean anything. You can do so many other things and your time can be used and is valuable to doing this stuff. You can,
and almost sort of do a sort of self-assessment in terms of feel free not to limit yourself to your job or you as a natural gas hauler, because I'm a lawyer but I never took family law, but I do green boxes in a PowerPoint. Right. I'm sorry, because I like computers and I like technology and I grew up doing that stuff. I grew up making overhead projector slides, back in the 80s for my dad's business. I just knew how to do, and as a result, I do it quick and I do it fast. And someone might be able to do it, but I can do it in half the time. And it's kind of a drag because sometimes I'm not bringing my legal acumen to this part of the table, but I can do a really good chart. So what do you enjoy doing, Daniel? What can you, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? You're a gas hauler. Do you fix cars? Do you know anything about engines? Can you help someone put together a car to get from here to there?
Or to auction off to raise money to make promotion stuff.
Absolutely.
And get words out there. There are a lot of opportunities, and it's about finding that opportunity that you have that can make a difference. If your state had $10,000 in a nonprofit to get words out there and actually get people in front of the legislature and stuff and get paperwork there and have somebody there talking to them, that's enough money to get somebody there to make a big difference. That's enough to get things started. Little things like that. When you're out hauling stuff, could you do a 50-50 raffle and say, hey, this group's selling, selling cars, raffling off a gun, or raffling off this or that, going to, I don't know who's cool and good right now in Ohio for sports, right? You could maybe go to a Steelers game or something. The Guardians. The Guardians got some baseball.
There you go.
But that season's just hopping, right? And like, get a ticket away, make a couple phone calls and get some stuff, and then go to your friends and say, hey, I'm trying to make some money to help do this stuff. You guys, that are out there log hauling and stuff and hauling and stuff might have some cash. They might be able to give you $25 to help out buy a ticket, and it could go somewhere and it could give you some funds to do some stuff and make a difference and not going to you. And Paul, and in this movement, anybody right now in this movement is giving it away. And we need people to give it away because there's no money right now in doing all of these things. I have some ideas and things that I'm working on right now, and I just got a contract with the state of Wyoming to teach parenting classes to dads across Wyoming, and the state's going to pay me. But it's not a get-rich job. It's a get-by job. And I'm working on more. I have other ideas of how we can actually make sustainable jobs. But to start a company from nothing and build jobs and that kind of stuff, we're talking about a lifetime achievement award to have 100 of them or 500 of them, which is my goal. And those things take a lot of time. It's not something that's going to happen today. Go Browns! Yeah, there you go, the Browns. And I think they're good too, right? The Browns are pretty good. The Bengals might be good also. I don't know. I'm a Commanders fan, so I have no taste in football teams.
Wait, I'm in St. Louis. I'm obliged to obligatory Kansas City Chiefs. I have to say that.
Right. They're the only team you guys got.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Did you talk about that, Zach? I wasn't sure I understood the comment from Paul. I can't afford to give that skill away. Books, laws, mother had a master's in business. I wasn't sure if you. I wasn't sure.
That's kind of what I was talking about. Is that we're all giving away for free, right? Like, I mean.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I talked with Melissa Isaac, and Melissa gives away free hours to clients all the time, right? You're doing flat fees because you could charge a ton more money than what you're charging if you charge by the hour. But you're giving it away because it's the love, right? I'm gonna do it for a lot less money, and I'm gonna do it for a flat amount because I want to help you, and I'm trying to make a difference.
Well, and it goes back to my personal experience going through this as an affected parent. When I went to a lawyer, mind you, God bless my lawyer, I'm still in touch with him, and he's amazing, and he is the reason to this day that I have the relationship I do with my son. However, and there's always a however in life. When I said need some help, and he says, "Well, I just need a retainer of X amount of dollars," in which I said that don't help. So I mean, I do that because I'd like to help. But here's a good example. I this morning. Oh no, it was last night. It's like 4 a.m. when I was going through all the stuff for today. And talking about giving things away, I posted on my personal page. I'll go back and make it public. But where does your child support go? Some other things I posted, I did kind of blur out because we're still in the middle of kind of using them. And I was just kind of kidding. I said, here, I'm going to give this one away for free. So, Paul, can I afford to give it away? I mean, or could I charge for it? I guess. But you know what? I just kind of kid and said, hey, I'm going to give you this one for free because it shows you where your child support goes. Just because that's helpful. And I think if people understand or are educated, they'll be more inclined to, I don't want to say trust, but more inclined to not feel made worse off by the system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And man, everybody's hurting, and we've gone through it. Like, Jeff's only here doing this stuff. Like, you were a lawyer before, right? But you weren't a family law attorney. You didn't even.
Oh no, yeah, no.
Class, right? Like,
no,
right?
Yeah.
Like, this. You are in this only because of your experience going through this. And then you're like, holy smokes! Like, I need to do something to help out.
That's just it. I said I need to do something to help out because everything I went through. If there's one person I can help not have to go through that or suffer that, go through that trauma, family court leaves scars. And so if I can help someone avoid those scars or help them heal faster, absolutely. Now, again, like I said before, I still got to get paid for what I do. But no, I mean, it's, I don't know. We've been on for almost 2 hours. It's because I just love to try and see if someone else can avoid this trauma and this pain.
Right. I think that's why we all do it. When I talk about why I'm committed to this and why I've given myself, I had a good career. I was making tons of money being a realtor. owning my real estate company. I gave it all up to go to law school and run this nonprofit to help dads out, right?
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
vision is that I don't want anybody to feel my pain. I don't want my son to go through the experience that I had to go through because it was awful. And
Yeah.
I care so much about him and everybody else that I'm willing to take out hundreds and thousands of dollars of loans, leave my career that was providing everything I wanted and more for myself to go out there and do like free work and get almost nothing, because I know the benefit that I can bring is exponentially greater for this world and for my son than the cash that I was bringing in and stuff. I mean, I make enough to buy food. I'm not like I you can see that's my kitchen behind me and my living room, you know, like I mean my desk and my workspace is in my living room because that's what I have, and it's okay. You know, I had more and I got rid of it all, and I'm happier having less, being here doing these things, knowing that like every day, how do I keep moving this forward so I can make a bigger difference and bring a bigger change? And I give away my free stuff all the time, man. I because the more you give, the more you get. You know, I get 5 calls a day from different dads asking me for support and help and stuff, you know, and talking to them gives me motivation. It gets me pumped up. Like I gotta do more. I have to keep going because you know what? If these 5 guys called me, how many guys aren't calling me right now? How many guys need me and don't even know about me because I haven't put myself out there enough yet to catch them and get them, and they need what I got. And when I think about that, then it's like I can't slow down. I got to speed up. I got to do more. You know.
And we were chatting a little bit about that before, but to put it in context, Paul, for you about I can't afford to give these things away. So looking at how, just for example, I went from being a class action lawyer, which I liked, but no one needs a class action lawyer. People need a DWI lawyer or a divorce or custody lawyer. For me, it was sort of more custody to help folks maintain their parent-child relationship. But I looked around at what I could do, and that was an area I could contribute. So, Paul, for example, it might just be as simple as that in terms of if you're a gas hauler, you know, Paul, your special attribute might just be having that listening ear, you know, and when you see someone going through a rough time, hey, buddy, what's up? And that, hey, buddy, what's up, Paul, that might save a life, you know, and maybe your way to contribute is to listen and get people talking. There's no money in that. Well, there's time, and time is money. But if you're just gassing up, I think, Zach, you were saying this earlier, maybe that's just being that listening ear.
Right. And there's opportunities and stuff. And the thing about those opportunities is that you got to be prepared and you got to be looking for those opportunities to be connected and support. And Paul, if you have skills, like you didn't put what your skills were, so I don't know what your skills are and what you do, but you don't got to give them all away. But if you can give some away, if you can give some away to a group that's actually out there doing something that can help make a little bit of a difference, that little bit can make a change, and that could have a ripple effect, you know. And yes, you should get paid. I think I should get paid. I want Jeff to get paid. I never in this movement, I am completely against like, no, nobody that works for dads should get paid. Like, we're here to make this thing happen. No, we should all be getting paid. If you're out here working to help these dads out, if you're helping to make the changes happen, we should all be getting paid. And the thing is how do we find the ways to get us paid? What can we do to make it so we can do this work and get paid doing it? And it's difficult, you know, and it's taken me a long time to get the state to pay me to teach these parenting classes, right? But they need them. And who are they going to pay to do them, you know? And I found a way to get this to happen in Wyoming. And now it is, can I duplicate this in other states? Can I do it in Wyoming? Can I do it in South Dakota? Can I do it in Colorado? If I can do it there, I can do it everywhere, right? And so it's just about, and then I can't do them all. And so I can hire guys to go out and do the same things in other places. I can teach them how to do it, how to do these events, how to bring people together. You know, it takes us being willing to give. And I think one of the books I read, I don't know if you ever read this book. If you'd like to read books, Jeff, you're a lawyer, so I know you have to read books. Dork.
Funny story about that, actually, but go ahead. I'll fill in the blanks.
The Giver's Gain. And there's this book called The Giver's Gain, and it talks about like giving back to the world. How can you make a difference for other people? And when you're focused on giving to other people and helping them have a quality of life, your quality of life exponentially is greater. If you're helping people make money and find ways to do things, your ability to make more money and do stuff is bigger because you are out there giving away what you want most, which is your time and your energy to get stuff. And the whole book is extremely powerful. And anybody that's worried about, I don't have enough, I can't support anything else, I have to just hoard it all for myself. That limiting mindset is actually holding you back from having all the things that you desire in this world. And it's the knowledge and the belief that you have the abundance and the ability to go out there and get everything and finding a way to do it. And then being relentless in the pursuit to find the way. You know,
Did you say, Zach, Giver's Gain, G-A-M-E, or Gain, G-A-I-N?
G-A-I-N.
Gain. Okay, Giver's Gain.
Yep.
Okay.
The Giver's Gain. Yeah, it's a great book. I'll share it with you and stuff.
Okay. And just to sort of put a cap on that, Paul, I'll go. It's not on my 5050guy.com webpage. It's on my personal Facebook, but it's AR, MILLAR. I'll go. So I posted like 7 slides this morning, but I grayed out or blurred out a bunch because we're kind of still using them. But there's one I didn't. And I said, hey, here you go. So just by example, go take a look at that. And you can say, oh, okay, 1 out of 7, okay. So of what I'm doing, I'll give away 10% or 1/10 or something like that. And yeah, you do find that you give away 10%, you're going to get back far more than that in return.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a teamwork and stuff. It's an effort. I think we're couple up on 2 hours and stuff, Jeff. And I know you live in Central Time Zone. I don't know what time you go to bed at.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm getting close to mine, man.
Are you in Mountain? I keep forgetting you're Mountain. I keep forgetting it. So you're an hour behind me. Well, yeah. I was. There's been a couple of times, and especially up early with the Capitol today. There's been a couple of times I've kind of started not bit there. So, but hey, thank you so much for having me on. It's great talking. I could talk about this all night. It's great talking about these issues and seeing folks chime in and ask away. So thank you again. It's been a blast, and hope to come back again.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I definitely want to have you back on. I want to spend some time with you working on the stuff here in South Dakota and Wyoming. It's just been a pleasure to be a friend with you the last couple of years. I've gotten to spend a lot of time talking on the phone and like working through some things that I'm working on and going to law school and
I will say. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I just want to give you some love and let you know that I appreciate you so much, and you've been instrumental in me getting to this point where I am now, and I look forward to keep working with you to take it to the next level and keep growing.
Absolutely. Well, for those looking to reach us, it's info@theleadlobbyists.com. Is our email address for other states. And then I'll just end by saying exactly, Zach, if you would have told me 7 years ago, I would have friends that, frankly, they're brothers from another mother. These people are as close as my family. I would never. I'm not from here. I'm from Canada, and so I didn't really know a whole lot of people down here, and I certainly didn't have any close friends or anything like that. If you'd have told me 7 years ago, I would have had the amazing friendships I do now. I wouldn't believe you. It's been a blessing, believe it or not.
No, you're right. Yeah, I agree. This group has been. I've got the best friends in the whole entire world, and they're all guys and women who have gone through this experience and have come out the other side. And you're in that group, Jeff. So thank you, my friend.
Appreciate it.
Have a wonderful night. I'll see you soon.
Oh, no. Thanks again. Bye now.
All right, buddy. See you. All right. So Alicia, her computer died, so I'm not throwing her a bus. Anyways, I'm Zach Martin. I am a non-custodial father. My son and I, his mom broke up when he was about 4 months old, and been gone through a whole lot of transitions and stuff. And so now I get to be a dad to my son, and I have a lot of great time with him and stuff. It's been due to how I've shown up, how I've chosen to be myself for my son and for my son's mom, and for me. And a lot of things we talked about today are things that I've been doing for myself and my son, and it's just been a blessing to be here. I really hope that everybody that's on this group right now, that you guys can get something from today, from all of these calls that we have, because everybody that comes on here has knowledge, has experience, has something that we could all learn from and grow from. And I'm only inviting people on who I feel like can bring something to the table and make a big difference. So Jeff today, a great guy, 50-50 guy. He's a lobbyist. He is phenomenal. And he's out there walking the walk that he's talking, and he's fighting every day for you and for your kids. And there's not a finer man out there to have than that guy who is so passionate, and he was taking notes while we're talking and stuff, and to make sure he said the right things. So that's the kind of guy that I want to have. I'm a shoot from the hip kind of guy, and Jeff's that note taker. And so we need all kinds, and that's what this world takes, and that's what we need for this movement. If you got some skills, hit somebody up, get involved. We need your help. We need your support, and we're here to support you and help you get what you want. And it may not be that you get to have your kids half the time, but if you can help prevent your kids from not having their kids half the time, and you can be more involved in your grandkids' lives because of that, then you did a great job, and you are amazing. And whatever you can give. Help out, make a difference. Next week, we got Dean Tong coming on. And if you guys don't know who Dean Tong is a child forensic psychologist. He is a father. He was falsely accused of child abuse and sex crimes and stuff. And he will talk about all the stuff he's done, but he has overcome. And then he had a passion for what his situation was of being falsely accused of something that he didn't do. And then he came back, fought it, won, and now has for the last 40 years been out here fighting for parents who are being falsely accused to overcome and win these cases and get their kids. And so Dean Tong next week, it is amazing that he's going to be on here. I am so stoked. We are doing it not on Wednesday next week. Wednesday, TFRM has their show. We're overlapping and stuff. We share the same people, we share the same fans. We share the same contacts. And it's a disservice to our people to do it on the same night. And so we're moving to Monday nights because it fits into my and Alicia's schedule. And it's going to help us to do some varying. Give us have a chance to have 2 or 3 shows on to help these parents connect and find people across the board. And so we really want to make a big difference. There's a lot of talk around infighting and stuff. And we're focused on how do we show up to make a difference. And when I talk to some of these people like Linda and Mark Ludwig, who was on the show today with Tony Patel at TFRM, Ryan Powell's going to come back on here with Tough. There's so many great groups out there fighting hard to support families and make a difference that you can find somebody that's going to make a difference for you. And so tune in on Monday night, Dean Tong, Monday night, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard. That's 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or, yeah, Daylight Savings Time. I think we're Standard Time right now. So it's going to be great. I really appreciate you guys. That's what Cameron, you honestly has done the best thing for you. God brought me here to see your message. You're a great person. Cameron, thank you very much, my friend. I think being open, honest, and responsible is the best way you can be, and it's going to get you the results you want to have. And I'm never going to sugarcoat stuff. I'm not going to lie to you guys about anything that I've gone through. I'm not going to lie to you guys about what I think. You may not like what I say, and everybody gets to have their own opinions. But I'm committed to delivering powerful and meaningful conversations with people who are out here working every day. And so if you're a parent, if you know somebody who's gone through false allegations, Dean Tong is the man. You want to tune in. He's got some books out there. He's written 3 books on false allegations, and he is the leading expert in the country on dealing with false allegations, how to overcome CPS and fight against the systems out there to oppress you and take advantage of you. And him and I talked for like an hour today. So I am super excited. Mom, I love you. Thanks for watching the show tonight. My mom tuned in tonight. So just a blessing. And so I want you guys all to know that I'm here and I care. You know where to find us at. We're on all the places that you found us at today. Everybody can get a hold of me. And I'm looking forward to keep delivering this message and more and making more changes, because the most important thing is that we keep moving forward every single day and doing better for ourselves. And by doing better for ourselves, we're doing better for our kids and we're making a better world. So keep fighting, keep hustling, and don't give up hope, man. We got this. Love you all. I'd play the theme song, but I don't know if I can play it on here like how Alicia had it on. So I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Jesse, Young Solomon, YNG Solomon, with Feed with the Sharks. If you haven't heard it, check it out. It's our opening song. It's our ending song. It's amazing. It's my son's favorite song right now. And Jesse is a compassionate samurai, amazing man, and blessed to have him as a friend, and blessed to have all you guys. So have a wonderful evening, and I'll see y'all soon. Good night. I got to end the show.